We will now look at the IELTS writing task 2, developing an argument. This is going to be about expressing your opinion about a controversial issue or debate. In other words, a subject for which people tend to have strongly opposing opinions. You have to develop an argument that persuades the reader to agree with you. Here is an example. Capital punishment is vengeance rather than retribution, and, as such, is a morally dubious concept. Now, to what extent do you agree or disagree? And that is the example, and that is going to allow you to build up a view as to whether you convince people it's good or it's bad. So first of all, analyse the question. Does the question ask whether or not capital punishment is vengeance? The answer is no, it doesn't. What it does ask is the question asks whether capital punishment is a right way of punishment. You should discuss the arguments for and against capital punishment. You should express your opinions but show awareness of others. You should not mention your opinions. You should include relevant facts that help to support your opinions. And that's the only way you're going to get people to be convinced by your particular view or your particular argument. If you now start a little bit of brainstorming, jot down arguments for and against capital punishment. If you're looking at examples for capital punishment, each criminal should get what their crime deserves, and in the case of a murderer, what their crime deserves is death. Justice demands that courts should impose punishments befitting the crime, so that the court reflects public abhorrence of the crime. Executing convicted murderers will deter would-be murderers from killing others, and it would prevent reoffending. So they're arguments for capital punishment. Arguments against the capital punishment would be the value of human life, execution of innocent people. And we cannot teach that killing is wrong by killing somebody, even if it's within the law. And retribution is immoral, as it is another form of vengeance. So, organising our balanced discussion, one way is to divide the arguments for and the arguments against into two central paragraphs. Organising a balanced discussion number 2, another way to organise your discussion is to match argument with counter-argument in the same paragraph. Often, this can be a more persuasive way to present your views. You demonstrate your awareness of others' opinions, but at the same time you show why these are mistaken. If you then start to look at connecting the ideas, whatever way you choose, you need to connect ideas using words and expressions that you learned in previous lessons. For example, first of all, instead, as a result of, secondly, furthermore, also, what is more, and more importantly. All ways of connecting parts of your argument, either for or against, to join up into sound, reasoned delivery. If you look at style, while contrasting arguments with counter-arguments, you can use passive words to introduce ideas. It is often said, or it is often argued, thus giving a more formal style to your writing. Because if you're using expressions like that, you're actually working on the assumption that other people say these things just the same as you do, so that you're bringing in a more structured style to the presentation. And again, useful tips that will help produce the final result. Avoid using phrasal verbs. If they keep on like this, they will have used up all of their resources. Not grammatically good. Do not use tagged questions. Nobody wants poverty, do they? It's a loaded question in the first place. Doesn't allow for argument. And avoid using idioms. That solution is a long shot. Under normal circumstances, many people would not understand what a long shot is in the case of this sort of argument. So it's very much a colloquialism that you really ought not use. Number 4, do not use contradictions. It isn't only the local authorities who are to blame. You've got two conflicting statements, or within that there, you really need to structure your sentences correctly so that you do not get contradictions within the same statement or sentence. Do not use irony or sarcasm, unless of course you know your audience, and in examination you do not know your audience. So everybody knows what kind of people they are. That is sarcasm, it is irony, and you should not use it. Avoid exaggeration. It is not that simple. There are loads and loads of problems associated with it. We don't know that. There might be problems associated, but who knows if there's loads and loads. And number 7, avoid conversational style. Well, others might say anything, but to be honest, again, it's very conversational and it is not good structure for your to answer your questions. And that is the end of that presentation.